Which function do you think does that? Betsy, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you know off the top of your head, or do you want to work through it together?
I'll work through it together.
Okay. So let's just start at the top. A square root function, or I'm sorry, a square function, quadratic. So this takes each of my x values and squares them. So if I took -2, what's -2 squared going to be? What's -2 times -2?
4.
Yes. So -2 should map to 4 if it were quadratic, but does this map to 4?
No.
No. So it can't be the quadratic. So now we're down to the absolute value or the linear function. Now, our absolute value takes any number and it just makes it positive. It has the same value. So a 2 is still going to be a 2. But if you sub in a -2, you should get out something positive. Do I get a positive value when I sub in -2?
No.
So it can't be absolute value. So what does it have to be?
Linear.
Very good, linear. So we're going to fill in this table here. And the y values are just going to be the exact same numbers. Okay, what questions do you guys have so far? Okay, we have 2 more tables left to do. Let me just fold this paper so you guys can see it a little better. Okay, so we have 2 more tables in here. Okay, and we need to figure out which one is the absolute value and which one is the parabola, the quadratic function. So Delamar, which table do you want to match?
The absolute value.
Which one? This top one or the bottom one?
The top one.
Okay, so we're going to work with this top one. So it looks like it takes a number and maps it to the same number, but for the negative one, it flips it to a positive one. So which function do you think it goes with?
Absolute value.
Perfect. So we're going to fill in those numbers in this table. Excellent. Good job, Delmer. Okay, and Amaya, that leaves this table right here. Does it match the quadratic function?
Yes.
Yeah, so we take each of these x values, we square it to get the corresponding y value. So we're going to stick -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. This corresponds to 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, and 9.
Yep.
Okay. What questions do you guys have on that? Okay, so I will leave that there for just another second, and then we're going to talk through the activity that you guys are going to do on your own during our asynchronous time. I think we'll have time to start it so that you don't have to do all of it by yourself. Okay, is anybody still copying it down?
I am, but I got a question.
Yes, what's up?
How does the table on absolute value, the x value says -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the y only says 1, 0, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh,
3 and 6.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
It's 6 numbers on the x value and it's 5 on the y value.
I see the issue because I forgot to put this 1 in. Thank you. Good catch. All right, is that better?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay. So this whole chart is posted. It was posted from a different class, so these might be in a slightly different order. So just make sure you're looking at the right function family. If you go back through it, you also can take a picture of the screen real quick if you think you just want to copy this one. But the final version is up for you to look at. I'm going to move this. And our next activity is going to be an investigation. So it's an investigation about the shifts of a quadratic function. So you could do shifts and stretches for any one of those functions in the function families we just went through. But we're going to use the quadratic function to try to do an example for every single type of function would get a little overwhelming. But we're going to do it for the quadratic, but the same principles are going to hold for the linear, absolute value, and what was the other one? Square root.
What's that?
What? Which one?
This paper that you writing on, what is that?
Okay, so this is the investigation that you guys are doing today. It is linked on Canvas, and I believe it is linked on, let me open up Canvas quick.
Okay, so can I print these papers out and like send pictures?
Yes, you have to submit the pictures through Canvas, but absolutely you can do that.
Okay.
Okay, so if we go to our class, I think I might have already been on our class over here. Yeah. So the Desmos investigation should be, I think, in activity 2 for today. Okay, so yes, so I have both the Word document and the PDF. If you open the Word document, if you have a different version of Word, it might take out some things. But if you happen to have the same version, then you could try to type or into the actual investigation if you wanted to. But the PDF will definitely keep everything the same, and you can print that out and you can type in it, or I'm sorry, write in it, and then send me a picture through Canvas. But you do not have to print it out if you do not have a printer. I'm not going to require that. So if you don't have a printer, just make sure that you're writing out like each of the things that have blanks in them, and that you're writing the graphs, and that you have a brief conclusion section at the end of each section, and just write out the sentences. Okay, so it's totally fine to write it out on a sheet of paper, whatever you need to do. So for this investigation, most of this stuff is just like instructions anyway for what you're supposed to do. So this investigation, I have normally, if we were in class, I would have everybody have little Chromebooks, and I would ask you to go to desmos.com. Okay, so I'm going to move this. You would click Graphing Calculator, and you should do this when you're doing this assignment for me today. Okay, and you're going to follow the instructions on this. The first instruction, it says graph the function y equals x squared. So you're going to go over to this little bar, and you're going to type in y equals x squared. Okay, now you can get the squared by going down to this little keyboard in the bottom left corner, and you have the square button right there. You can also do Shift 6 too, and that'll put it up there. But we get this quadratic function right here, the red thing. So I want to go ahead and draw that on my grid. So I'm going to put a point at 0, 0. Then I know for my quadratic function, I have a point at 1, 1 and at negative 1, 1. Then I have a point at 2, 4 and negative 2, 4 and 3, 9 and negative 3, 9. So I should be able to draw my parent function for a quadratic onto my grid. So that's step 1 complete. Okay, and you can do that on your own paper. If you want to print out graph paper, there is graph paper linked. If you have graph paper, you can just use a little square of your graph paper on there. Get a little creative, do whatever you need. Step 2 says using a different color, graph this function. So now I'm going to go back to Desmos and I'm going to type this function into Desmo. Okay, my function is y equals x minus 3 squared plus 2. Okay, so it automatically draws it in a different color. This one happens to be blue, and it gives me the point where the vertex is, so I can click on that. So I'm going to grab a different color for my graph, because you want to copy each of these down onto your own paper. I guess I'll take this pink one. Okay, so I have a point, it says right here at 3, 2. So I'm going to put a point there. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hold on. Okay. All right, so I have my vertex. And once I have my vertex, there are no other stretches or compressions that happen. I just did a translation. So I can draw in my parabola pretending like the first pink point is at the origin. Okay. You can also click on points on the parabola on Desmos, and it will tell you what those points are. You can plot those. Okay. So that was this guy. It asks for the vertex. Desmos helped us out and gave us the vertex. It's 3, 2, so I'm going to write that in. And then it asks us how the graph shifted. So if I'm starting from my original parent function and I'm trying to get to the pink function, was there a question? I'm sorry. Was there a question?
No, I don't think so.
Shayla, are you there?
Yes.
So Shayla, how far right and then how far up do I have to go to get from the blue to the pink?
Right up.
So how many units right did I go? Shayla?
3.
Yeah, good. So it shifted right by 3 units. And how far up did it have to go?
2.
Yeah, and and up by 2 units. Okay. So it's going to ask you to do this again. Okay, but with a new function. So you'll pick a different color, draw that graph as a different color on this sheet. It will ask you for the vertex again, and then it'll ask you how far it shifted. When you're comparing each of the functions it gives you 3 more to do. You're going to always compare it to the very first function you drew, the parent function. Okay, because we're trying to see how it shifts or translates across the grid. So you'll do this and then you'll try to fill in your conclusion. Okay. So what happens when this H value is positive or negative? What happens when this K